Okay, welcome. This is Rising Above Self-Sabotage. This will be a two-part training of self-discovery and empowerment. If we haven't met yet, I am Lahaina. I'm a confidence and freedom coach, and I support ambitious women that feel like they're driving nowhere fast to build on their confidence and create more freedom and have more impact in their own way. The three pillars of my coaching business is number one, alignment. That means ditch comparison syndrome and fear of being judged and live in alignment with your truth. Number two, magnetism. Be magnetic and attract all that you desire and create a beautiful life that you love. Number three, freedom. Set yourself free from expectations and you'll be in total flow, fully trusting your feminine power. How yummy. So let's get into content. I brought a lot of content. I think it's important my invitation for you is to have that learner's mindset, right? Because some of the things you'll be like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. I've seen this before. But if things are not changing in your life, that means that you might have heard or learned that before, but you haven't even implemented or you haven't brought that to reality to actually change your patterns, right? So all we're doing here is bringing something to light to your awareness about your patterns. Why do you keep attracting that type of relationship? Why do you keep getting stuck in the same areas of life? Why, you keep behaving in a certain way? So understanding that is the first access for us to actually change something. So having the awareness and understanding, and then the willingness to change. I'll let that sink for a moment. So understanding your patterns, bringing that to light from your subconscious to your conscious mind, and then the willingness to change. Okay, I also invite you right now to close your eyes for a second. Take a couple of deep breaths into your belly and your chest. And use this moment to connect to your body. There's nothing to do. There's nowhere to be right now. And as we move through this conversation today at this content, notice any signals from your body. Any moments that you feel uncomfortable when I say something. Might be like a pitch in your stomach, some pressure in your heart area and chest, maybe some heat in your throat. Maybe you feel like avoiding the conversation, reaching to your phone or getting distracted or doing something. So my invitation is for you to allow your body to communicate and signal to you. Again, getting out of our heads and into our body, we can find so many of the answers that we're looking for. Okay, so let's start with defining self-sabotage and its different forms. Again, let's bring to awareness what is it that is actually happening. Self-sabotage refers to the act of intentionally or unintentionally engaged in behaviors, thoughts, or actions that obstruct your personal growth. You obstruct your success or your well-being. So it's some sort of self-destructive pattern that prevents you from achieving your goals or fulfilling your potential. So there are times that we have the awareness, oh my God, I'm actually doing this again. Why am I sabotaging? Why am I doing this again? But sometimes it's even before that stage, you keep doing things and you don't even know that you're sabotaging, right? You have no awareness and understanding that you're actually self-sabotaging or repeating some of the patterns. Okay, so let's have a look of the various forms of self-sabotage. And again, pay attention. When is your body reacting to this conversation? What am I saying that is a trigger to you? Or you might even have actual really clear thoughts about how this is showing up in your life right now. Okay, perfectionism. So that means you keep setting yourself unrealistic standards and goals and feeling like a failure. So is that self-fulfilling prophecy that you keep creating the goals that are too big or too far away from you. And when you keep failing, you keep settling into that thought that, oh, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. So I see this a lot with some of the clients that come to me because they want to set all these goals all at once. From tomorrow, I'll be eating clean. I'll exercise 5 days a week. I'll wake up at 5 a.m. I'll do this and it becomes too much too soon. And then what happens is that you actually start to sabotage your results or feel like a failure. So yeah, look in your life. Are you always looking for these such higher standards of whatever you're doing? And actually, this is interesting because perfectionism offers a way of quieting the constant voice of self-judgmental and fear of others' judgment. So pay attention. If you are a perfectionist, you're actually trying to avoid any criticism from anyone else. So that's why you want things to be so perfect, right? But you're actually delaying a lot of taking action or actually implementing something because it needs to be perfect first. Perfection and order brings a sense of temporary relief. So again, because you're focusing on the thing, you're putting all your time and energy that it actually makes you feel good. But again, you're not actually doing much because you can't get away from that one task until it's perfect, right? So think about if you were brought up in chaotic family dynamics, you might have become a perfectionist to earn and accept, to gain acceptance and attention from emotionally distant or demanding parents. Interesting, isn't it? So you felt like you needed to be perfect in order to receive love. Does that make sense? Make sure you're participating, make sure you comment, make sure you let me know what's landing. Distractions. Okay. So now a way of self-sabotage that I think a lot of people are very self-aware is some form of distraction. So this could be drugs and alcohol, shopping. Do you catch yourself shopping just to feel something or to avoid taking action around things that are important to you? Could be sex and some sort of pleasure, food. So again, you're looking for ways to feel something, pleasure, feel good about yourself, but it might be in a destructive way if you keep going to those things instead of actually doing the tasks in your life and creating beautiful, healthy habits, right? And in this way, you're actually avoiding such situations and activities that are uncomfortable or challenging. So how often we avoid anything that is uncomfortable or challenging, even when you know that that's the most beneficial thing to you. So people that avoid could be if you were brought up even in a happy or difficult childhood, but you might not have learned the resilience of dealing with difficult emotions and difficult situations. So an avoider might come to play as a pacemaker and learning not to add any negativity or tension on top of existing family tensions. So you avoid. So maybe when you're a kid, you were actually avoiding, being even around your family or asking for what you want and things like that, because you would just go and play. Okay, overthinking. I see this over and over and over with women because a lot of us are perfectionists. A lot of us are doing the best that we can. And sometimes we get really caught in our heads. So when you're overthinking, you are either dwelling on past mistakes. So it has already happened. There's no way to go back and fix it, right? Or you might be worrying about the future. And it could be leading to analysis paralysis. And both these ways, you are, I think it's a way of avoiding as well. You're avoiding the present moment because you're either living in the past or your future. So this might have been a survival strategy from childhood of emotional turmoil or chaotic surroundings, right? And then you wanted to escape into a neat and orderly, rational mind to generate that sense of safety and security. How interesting. And now as an adult, it might be that gives you a sense of intellectual superiority. So if you love, being the person in the group that knows all of the recent affairs, all the recent technology, you're doing all the personal development, you might be using this also as a way to show up your value and your worth, or to gain attention and praise by showing up as the smartest person in the room. How interesting. Next one is a huge one for women. So pay attention and let me know what resonates. People pleasing. And again, a lot of the times we know we are putting other people in front, but a lot of the times we don't even know. All we know is that we're exhausted, we resent people in situations and circumstances, and we don't even understand. But what we're doing is we are prioritizing the needs and wants of everyone else instead of ours. So it could be at work, prioritizing your workload, making your boss happy, saying yes to workload of other colleagues. Hello, thank you for joining. So the people pleasing, it could be prioritizing others in your workplace, in your family. So some of my clients, they're married with kids, is a lot about, oh, I need to show up or provide for them. And then I can start my business, and then I can do my personal development, and then I can do my healing, and then I can take time off or do my self-care, right? So as a people pleaser, you're trying to earn attention and acceptance through helping others. So you want to feel loved and acknowledged. But the problem here is when you put yourself last. And this is an indirect attempt to have one's emotional needs met. So you think by doing for others, you're going to have your emotional needs met, but you're actually feeling really drained and tired and exhausted. So from your childhood, it could be that, again, you felt like you had to put others in front of you, or I must give love and affection in order to receive any love back. I need to earn love, and I'm not worthy of it, right? So there is a sense of low self-worth when you're actually doing people pleasing. Overachiever. So some of you guys have, I posted a quiz to complete, which was really cool. And it gives you your highest from all these ones. It will show you which one is highest for you, which is a beautiful way of self-awareness. And again, just to start understanding how you're playing out, right? So overachiever, and some of you responded yes. This is often the result of either conditional or altogether absent validation that we might have received from our parents, right? So we feel like we need to prove ourselves and constantly be doing and achieving and creating in order to receive love and approval. And this one might be related to feeling restless, right? So feeling guilty for resting. How interesting. So this could be a lot of women that are overachiever in either their career or the corporate world, or launching their businesses, putting everything, all their energy into it. And this can lead to burnout, right? So they all have the positive and the negative about it. It's not that you make yourself wrong for noticing this. It's just that awareness. Okay, I can see that this is my pattern. This is how I run the show. This is what comes up for me. And understanding the good and the bad, and then understanding how do you want to deal with that. So the first, we need the awareness, and then we need the willingness to change. So I can relate to overachiever. I'm obsessed with my business. I love my business, but I also been learning more and more about being able to rest, being able to take time off, not feeling guilty if I'm not producing results, not putting my self-worth into my business. Does that make sense? So the overachievers also feel like they need to be achieving, obeying the rules, having good manners, right? So for women as well, could be that be a good girl syndrome. Okay, next one, hypervigilant. I feel like this one is always like stressed out, always looking for dangers. This could be related to overthinking as well, because you're always looking at the worst case scenario. So you're kind of always like worried and anxious, which a lot of us are in this time and age. Could be related to money, could be related to career, could be related to anything. But what happens is your system actually gets used to it they're always feeling anxious, and then it's a bit addictive. So you don't know anything from that. So you're always feeling that sense of stress and anxiety in your body, and your body makes friend with that. And then that's how you roll. So again, could be related to feeling guilty about resting and relaxing. The hypervigilant often comes from early experiences where the source of safety and security was unpredictable and unreliable. So think about your childhood. If your household or your parents were unpredictable and unreliable, it could also result when painful, unexpected events proved life to be threatening or unreliable. So yeah, if I think about my parents who were quite young, they were doing the best they can. That's 100%, that's for sure. But it could be a bit unpredictable, right? Especially when they separated, I was 1 year old. So if I'm spending 1 weekend here, 1 weekend there, always back and forth, as a child, I don't know the schedule. I don't understand. So it feels quite unpredictable in that moment. Okay, next way to sabotage is being extremely controlling. So again, control is a way for us to feel on top of things, right? So I'm controlling the situation, but in fact is that we have little control to reality, what's happening in the economy, what's happening with our family, with our loved ones, so many things, with the weather. What I can control is my thoughts and my actions, right? I'm so certain of this. I always talk about this. But the controller also can demonstrate a hidden fear of being controlled by others or by life. So I feel like I need to be in control because I don't want to be controlled. How interesting is that? And sometimes associated with early life experience where the child was forced to grow up really fast, be on its own, take charge of the environment, or, you know, be even caring for their parents. There was a need for survival, either physically or emotionally. And it's also associated with being hurt, rejected, or betrayed, and deciding to never be that vulnerable again. So the controlling, one of the negative aspects is possibly avoiding being vulnerable, which being vulnerable is so beautiful. It's how we connect to other humans, right? So when you're trying to control everything, it can be really stressful. It can feel like push and pull, and it can feel like exhausting. So when we learn how to allow and surrender and trust and go with the flow, you know, there's a lot of freedom that comes from that. Okay, are you guys with me? Are you enjoying this? Make sure to participate, chat on the comments, any light bulb moments, what's connecting for you. Next one, being a victim. Being a victim is a strategy to squeeze out some affection from those around you. So again, are you always getting caught in sharing that sad story or something that happened to you, or I don't have money, or I don't have a job that I like, or I'm still single, whatever is your sad story? If you are attached into sharing that over and over again, is a way to look for sympathy, for love, for connection, right? But there's so many other better ways to do it. Procrastination. Oh, that's a huge one. A lot of my clients deal with procrastination. It's similar to avoiding, right? So delaying important tasks, putting off important decisions until the last minute. And how does that actually make you feel? Like there's so much anxiety when you procrastinate and you delay and you avoid. You can feel in your body that anxiety building up, right? And sometimes you mess up because if you're leaving things to the last minute, that's when you're probably going to get in trouble because, well, you don't have enough time to do it. If you made a mistake, you don't have the time to fix it. There's so much that comes to it. Okay, and then negative self-talk, which we're going to cover as well, which I call the inner critic. You might call the mean girl. You might, if you've been working with me, you might have named your mean girl, right, to address her when she shows up. So that constant negative self-talk, self-criticizing, questioning everything, looking for the worst case scenario, and telling oneself that they are not good enough or that they will fail. So whatever you're telling yourself, I'm not pretty enough, why me, why this only happens to me, I always get, you know, the worst case scenario, I'm sure something's gonna go wrong. Awesome, thank you. People are commenting and sharing, which I love. So I get to understand that you guys are getting something from this conversation. And then self-sabotaging in relationships. How do you relate to that? So how many times you saw some negative patterns come up when you are dealing with someone in conversation, in a relationship, something happened, like you felt triggered and then you did something to mess up, right? You say something and you didn't mean it. You ran away from it. So there's so many ways to self-sabotage when you are in a relationship, or when you feel like everything is going well, there is that fear about what's going to happen now. When you're dating a guy that's actually really nice, and there's that voice in your head saying, where are the red flags? What's going to happen now? So we might be pushing people away, become overly critical or judgmental. So looking and picking of all those, you know, things that we don't like about them, being, or the other way, being too needy or clingy. So type on the chat, which one has resonated for you, or any new awareness that you're having from the training so far. As I said, you might have heard this before, you might know this before, but if you're not doing the work of how are you relating this to your life, how can you see the pattern showing up in your life, pinpointing where are the examples in your life, or what is the impact of that happening in your life, there's no point of you being here, right? So it's not about you sitting back and listening, it's really doing that self-assessment. So the controller, avoiding vulnerability, yeah, that's a big one for all of us. We do think that vulnerability is being weak. Somehow, you know, in our society that was created, which is the complete opposite. I love Brené Brown and what she talks about, that being vulnerable is actually being really brave, because you're showing how human you are. Like we all go through sadness, challenges, anger, frustration. The more that we avoid that and the more that we hide that, the more separation we create between each other, because we're all looking up to others thinking they have it all figured out when it's not real. Yeah. So being vulnerable is actually being courageous, being brave, is the way that we connect as human beings. We love helping someone in need, right? So how come when we need help, we're not asking for help? Because we think, oh, they're going to think I'm weak, or this is wrong, or they don't have time for me. Okay, all of the above, awesome. Any particular one that really like hits your heart and is like, that's like a big one for me? Okay. So you might have noticed that for all of them, I was trying to share the root cause, which is mostly likely in our childhood. A lot of our patterns of now come from the age from 0 to 7. That's when we were absorbing everything in the world, from our household, family, friends, you know, school, teachers, because up until 7 years old, we don't have the power to question anything. That's why we believe in Santa Claus. We don't question, how is he going around the world in one night, giving presents to all the kids? We don't have that capability at that age to question. So we're absorbing everything that we hear. So if we heard our parents fighting about money, if we saw something on TV that maybe, you know, created limiting beliefs. So whatever it was that created our patterns, most of it was from 0 to 7. So I've been creating new awareness for you to relate, like, okay, how was my household? How was I growing up? What was the impact on me? Why did I develop these patterns, right? Because again, it's not right or wrong, it's just understanding. And I want to share with you guys that we go much deeper into our relationship with our mothers specifically, and connecting with our inner child. So this is in my upcoming program, Homecoming. We start in 2 weeks on the 24th May. Let me know if you want to join or if you have interest. It's going to be a 6-week journey that will go much deeper into all of these topics. Okay, so as I said, for your self-sabotaging patterns, it's important to recognize what's coming up for you. How does that show up in your life? And are you willing to actually have a really good look and how we can shift things or start acting in a different way? So how the self-sabotage is showing in your life in a few different areas, right? So I've mentioned relationship. Again, it could be that you're pushing people away when they trigger you, when you feel like you're about to be vulnerable, It could be, again, being overly critical or being too needy and dependent. So have a look at your relationships. Are you always expecting your friends or your partner to give you that love and affection that you so much want and crave for? And it can become very heavy if you're always expecting them to give that to you. So again, in personal development, we learn how to provide that to ourselves at all times. So we're not always relying and waiting for people to provide us with love and affection and acceptance. With relationship, another big part is staying in toxic relationships. And I know a lot of women also stay in this sort of environments. Somehow when you realize it's a bit too late and you're like, I don't know how to get away from this, right? And you keep looking at ways to make sense of it or look at the good parts of the relationship. But to be honest, if you're really being honest with yourself, you know it's a toxic relationship. With our career, okay, so it could be about procrastinating on important tasks, or if you're running your business or, you know, in your job or career, it could be undermining your own success by being too self-critical, right? So I know sometimes I can be working really hard and still I think I'm not doing enough. So that's being overly critical. It could be by not asking for help. I spoke a little bit about this, how hard it is for us to actually ask for help and support. Somehow we feel like it's wrong, I'm weak, I shouldn't bother anyone, right? I should have this sorted, I should be independent, I am an independent woman. Let me know in the chat if this is resonating for you. Or is staying in a job that is not fulfilling or not aligned with my current values and wants and needs, right? So it's similar to staying in a toxic relationship. You might be staying in a job that might be a toxic environment with your manager or peers or, you know, again, working so hard, staying back, not getting paid enough, not being recognized. So many ways that you might be staying in a job because you're self-sabotaging yourself, because you don't want to go for job interviews, you don't want to change careers, you don't want to do the next course, you're too afraid to start your business. Imposter syndrome, yes, thank you for bringing that up. That's a huge one in career and in business, and that comes from not thinking I'm good enough, right? I need another qualification, I need more experience, I need to work harder, I need to stay back, I need to prove myself, I need to prove my worth. So again, the bad side of this is sometimes working so hard that you're gonna have a burnout, that you're gonna crash, that you're gonna end up sick, that you're gonna end up in hospital, or doing all of this for a job that you don't even like, or is not even paying you that well. Does that make sense? Yes. So imposter syndrome is huge. I'll be honest, we all have it. I feel like we all have flavors, all of these, you know, self-sabotage patterns. But again, is how much is that actually impacting you? How much is that actually showing up in your life? And do you have control and awareness over it or not? So with imposter syndrome, literally every single person I know, we have it, I have it, but it's about when that shows up in that moment is knowing how to deal with it and move through, right? So even for me, putting together this training could have been like, oh, who am I to talk about this? I'm not an expert. So that's an imposter syndrome or self-criticism or self-sabotage. But what did I do in that moment? I was like, no, actually, I'm really excited to talk about this. I can help people. I can clarify some things. I can help them have breakthroughs. So I'm constantly coaching myself and this stuff shows up. Right? Is that constant self-awareness, understanding, and coaching yourself through it. Okay, so other areas of life, personal growth. So maybe by setting unrealistic goals, we spoke a little bit about this. So if your goals are too big or too far away, you can't actually see how am I supposed to get there, you already lose interest. So you're already sabotaging. Or also if your goals are actually too low, too easy, there's no motivation to do that because you're like, your subconscious is already saying, no, not doing that. So having unrealistic standards for someone, for ourselves and others. So I think as women, we do have really high standards for ourselves because we always want to look good. So we put so much pressure on the ways that we look and how much money we spend on getting our hair done and eyelashes and I don't know, all the shaving, all the clothes that we wear, bags, makeup. Then we need to look amazing. Our household needs to be perfect, amazing, organized, clean. Then I need to show up at the gym because I need to be fit and healthy, and show up at work or business and be amazing and do all my job. And if you have kids, take care for your kids. If you have a partner, care for your partner. So can you see how we have these huge high standards for ourselves? And no wonder we always tired, exhausted, burnt out. Even by talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I'm tired. Just by thinking and talking about it. So let me know in comments if that resonates. Okay, also self-sabotaging personal growth. If you're avoiding uncomfortable emotions, so are you avoiding when you actually have feelings of sadness, frustration, anger, upset? Are you trying to push that aside and out and check out with Netflix, drinks, food, sex, pleasure? Are you avoiding confronting or uncomfortable situations? They're necessary for growth. So this is when there's lack of communication, there's lack of boundaries. So you know a certain relationship or situation is bothering you. So that's the first signal. Why is this bothering me? Something's a bit off. And then avoiding actually taking action or talking to the person or changing that. And lastly, by not seeking help and support. It's a huge one. I already spoke about that. How come asking for help and support became bad and wrong, and I don't need it, and I should be all independent, Miss Independent, I can do it by myself? That's very lonely. That's very hard. Let me know in comments what's resonating. Procrastination and self-sabotage in career. Okay. And what is the impact on that, right? It's hiding the amazing thing that you do. Is not allowing people to have access to you. What else? What other impacts on procrastination and self-sabotage, right? So for everyone writing, I love the comments. Tell me, what is the actual impact? You know, what is the impact of imposter syndrome if you're letting that run the show? What is the impact of being so controlling or avoiding vulnerability? So have a look. Okay, and what are the consequences? I want to give a couple of seconds so you guys know the impact and consequences in your life, but let's go through some of the consequences. Some of the consequences, missed opportunities. So that's the biggest one, obviously. If you're self-sabotaging, you're sabotaging your results, you're sabotaging your success. So missing opportunities. So you may be avoiding taking risks, avoiding trying new things because it feels scary, it feels unknown, it feels unsafe. You are limiting your potential for growth and success. And the example that I like is, you know, when sometimes you double book something and you're like, how did I do that? That was stupid. It could be a form of self-sabotage because then somehow you can't go to the commitment that you actually, it could be a big opportunity for you. Or, you know, when you don't put your alarm, somehow you miss on the alarm and then you miss the meeting or something. And you're like, how did I not put the alarm? How did I sleep in or whatever it is? You know, it could be unconscious patterns of self-sabotage. Obviously, unfulfilled potential. So these can lead to feelings of failure and frustration and feeling stuck. So because you're self-sabotaging, you're not fulfilling on your potential, you're not seeing the results. And like I said at the beginning, is that self-fulfilling prophecy. So you keep creating the results that you're not happy about. That leads to decreased self-esteem. So in my content and my business, I talk a lot about self-esteem, self-worth, and confidence. So you're feeling like you're not good enough or you're not deserving of success. was talking to my friend yesterday, and she's a psychic. She's very psychic, and she said somehow it's hard for her to feel like charging for her services. So she doesn't feel deserving of getting paid to do a reading, right? And decreased self-esteem can lead to feelings of anxiety and depression because you're not fulfilling on your potential. So that, one day, fine, next day, okay, next week, next month, if you keep going on and on and on, really what happens in your mind and your body is then getting into a state of depression. And you can't correlate at the time, but that's why I'm here sharing with you guys. And a lot of my clients and a lot of women that I know is that feeling of feeling stuck. Okay, next one, strained relationships. So I spoke a little bit about relationships. So pushing people away, being overly critical. And this could be friends, family, and romantic partners. So if you always have challenging in romantic relationships as well, understanding, I use sabotaging. And do you know? Is it conscious or unconscious? And lastly, mental health issues. So it can lead to chronic stress, anxiety, depression, negative impact in someone's mental health and well-being in overall, right? So I'm so grateful that you guys are here to understand a little bit more and look into your life and be like, yeah, I actually want to change this because I don't want to end up with anxiety and depression and mental health issues because I keep self-sabotaging. And let's have a quick look at the root causes. So again, I share a little bit about going back to childhood, how the environment that you grew up led to this sort of behavior. But again, it could be related to your low self-esteem. So you keep self-sabotaging and confirm the negative beliefs about yourself and avoiding situations where there's fear of being judged and criticized. So when we're showing up in life, when we're doing the things, when we're taking action, there is a possibility that people will judge and criticize. Yes, the possibility is always present, but are you going to let that stop you, right? I don't let that stop me because my vision and my mission is bigger than the fear of being judged or criticized. So I show up on my social media every single day talking about what I want to talk about. And that makes me happy, right? And if I get bullies or bad comments, I just delete them. So fear of failure, which is we spoke a little bit about, that includes, procrastinating on important tasks. So again, if you're running your business, it could be, okay, I'm not showing up on social media. I'm not promoting my business. I'm not having sales calls. I'm not talking about it. If it's in your career, fear of failure could be, I'm not applying for the promotion. I'm not applying for that big project that I actually think I can do it, but there's fear of maybe I can't. And the other one is really funny because it's fear of success. And I don't think we talk about this enough. But either failure or success is a different reality from what I have now. And subconsciously, we have fears of change because I don't know what happens then. So if you think about getting everything that you ever wanted in life and being super successful, your conscious mind might be saying like, yes, that's all I want. And that's going to be awesome. But your subconscious saying it's dangerous because I don't know what happens when I get there. And again, unconsciously could be like, I'm going to lose my friends. It's going to be too hard. I don't know. It's a different reality, right? So fear of success can lead to, again, self-sabotaging and keeping you stuck and keeping you in the level of success that you have now. And negative self-talk, we spoke about this, the inner critic, mean girl, and obviously trauma. So previous experiences might have left you with that big trauma in your body, in your conscious or subconscious mind, and that leads to more fear about taking action and trying things again. So it's important to work with someone here and get support as a coach, therapist, or healer to move past the past, to leave the past behind and just put that to sleep, right? The past has already happened. So don't let that drag into, again, your emotions, your body, or your subconscious mind or conscious mind, that you shouldn't be trying those things again. Either be a relationship because someone broke your heart in the past, then you're like, oh, it's too dangerous to open my heart again. If you got fired from a job, oh, it's too dangerous to go for a high-paying job, or whatever it is, right? Because you are still living in that past. So if you just have a breathe into your body, you can close your eyes and tune in which one comes strong to you right now. Is it a particular real life example that is happening in your life right now? Particular area of life, particular person, or be one in particular, like negative self-talk maybe came up for you really high, and you acknowledge that a lot of the times that voice in your head is being so nasty. Okay. When you're ready, just taking a couple of breaths and coming back to your body, coming back to the room. Moving on. What do we have next? Okay, some common beliefs and fears that can lead to self-sabotage. I'm not good enough. I feel like everyone has this one in very kind of strong ways, but are you aware of it? And when does that comes up for you or not? So that's the important part here. How much are you aware of? I'm not good enough. To be honest, we all have it to an extent, you know, but do you feel it really strongly? And do you feel it all the time? Or I think for me, I never thought I'm not good enough. So it was a big breakthrough, actually, you know, when we were looking at the saboteurs and sometimes being a high achiever, it was a big breakthrough for me to realize that why am I always running around and doing things and trying to achieve things and accomplish things? It was a way that my subconscious mind was saying, I'm not good enough. So I'm not good enough until I am achieving results. So can you see how it wasn't so clear? It wasn't that I was thinking to myself, I'm not good enough. But the underlying feeling was that that's why I feel like I have to prove myself. So we all have it, right? But it's how much awareness do you have about when does that come up for you? How does that show up? Next one, I don't deserve success. So we just spoke about this. It could be, again, that somehow you don't feel worthy or deserving to have all your dreams fulfilled. You might feel like, if I'm successful, I'm taking away from other people. There are all these limiting beliefs, right? Or if I'm really successful, I'm going to lose my friends. I'll change. So is that clear to you that you feel like you don't deserve success? Or it could be a subconscious pattern. I'm a fraud. So that's the imposter syndrome one that we were talking about, right? So this is actually a common belief of people that struggle with self-sabotage. They may believe that they are not truly competent or talented. And this is a lot about comparing as well. So if we're constantly comparing ourselves to other people that maybe are more successful or ahead of us, we always putting ourselves down and think, oh, they know it more, they have more success, they're far ahead. You know, who am I to compete with them? So it's not about competing, and it's not about better or worse. It's about you and your own journey with yourself. And I'll be honest, one of my coaches said the most beautiful thing: if you have imposter syndrome, that means that you're up to big things in life, right? If you are at home doing nothing, watching TV and eating a burger, you wouldn't have imposter syndrome. So the fact that you have it is like you putting yourself at risk. Maybe you're running your business, maybe you are moving through in your career. And that imposter syndrome is just a way to remind you that you're actually doing something pretty cool and pretty amazing. Do you like that? Okay, I can't handle failure. So I think that's a big one for most people, because there's so much fear about what about if I do this and it doesn't work, right? So what about if I apply for this career progression and I don't get it? It's going to crash me. It's going to break my heart. What about if I go on this date and I really like this guy and then he doesn't like me back? What about if I start my business and it doesn't go well? I can't handle that. I'm going to lose money. I'm going to lose my prestige, right? So fear of failure is a lot related to our status. So how people see us, or they're going to see me as a failure. And a lot about, could be a lot about money as well. Or if I fail, I lose everything. I'm loving all the comments, trying to keep up. Okay, another huge one. And again, this could be very in your awareness and very conscious for you, or it could be totally unconscious, which is I'm not lovable, right? And that's related to the relationships. When we self-sabotaging is because somehow in our wiring and our subconscious mind, there is that belief that actually no one loves me, I'm not worthy of love, there's something wrong with me, why would they love me, I'm not good enough. Next one, I'm not in control. So that again goes with the controlling part of things. And that's a lot of fear as well. You know, if I can't control this, then what happens is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of stress. So I can share with you guys at the moment, I'm organizing my move from Sydney to Gold Coast, and I feel like I'm not in control. There's stuff going on with the current lease of my house. I haven't secured a place to live when I move. Literally everything is out of my control at this point, and all I'm doing is showing up every day. I'm applying for places, being positive, doing what I can. So again, what I can control is what I do and how I feel. I'm keeping myself positive, keep taking action. This is what I can control. The fact that I'm waiting to hear from all real estates in Sydney and in Gold Coast is out of my control. I hope for the best. I surrender. I give it to the universe. So again, when things are happening in your life, if you try to be really controlling, that's going to be really tiring and exhausting and stressful. So when you trust yourself and you feel like, okay, I can actually surrender, let go, have fun, be playful, see where this goes. When you have that mindset, it can be really cool because you're trusting life and you're trusting the process and you're trusting that the best outcome will happen. Any sharings? It's a vicious cycle. Yes. A lot in life becomes a vicious cycle because again, it's related to our patterns, it's related to how we know, it's related to how we behave, it's related to our unconscious mind that sometimes we don't have any awareness and we keep doing the same things over and over again. And that was the beginning of this training. I said, start looking at why do I keep attracting this sort of dating partner? Why do I keep attracting this sort of friend? Why do I keep attracting this sort of job? And it's so easy to blame everything and everyone, right? Oh, it's their problem. Oh, my friends are not good people, or these guys are not good, or I can't date these days, it's too hot. But if it keeps happening, you are the common denominator. So that's why we are always looking inwards. And again, that's why we're looking at what can I control, which is my thoughts and my actions. I can't control everyone else. So let me know if the conversation is feeling heavy. Like, I think we uncovered a lot about self-sabotaging. How does that show up? What does that look like? But I wanted to share with you guys some examples of people that have overcome self-sabotage and achieved success. So it is possible. So Oprah is a media mogul. I'm sure you guys know her. I love her. She's a beautiful person. She has had so much impact in so many people's lives. But she overcame a lot of her personal obstacles, from childhood abuse to struggles with her weight, being told she was not good enough when she started on TV, being fired. So despite these challenges, she was always able to overcome self-sabotage and build an incredible, successful career. Beautiful Oprah. J.K. Rowling, she's the author of Harry Potter series. She has faced so many rejections and setbacks before achieving success. She battled depression and even contemplated suicide at one point. However, she was able to overcome self-sabotage and continue pursuing her writing, which eventually led to her success as a best-selling author. Tony Robbins, I love him. He's amazing. He's a motivational speaker and author. He, again, has helped so many people. And he overcame many, many personal challenges, again, from childhood challenges and struggles with addiction. And despite these challenges, he was always able to overcome self-sabotage and build a successful career, helping others overcome their own obstacles, right? So that's when it becomes really beautiful, when not only you're doing the work and you're moving through all of this, somehow you feel called to help more people, which is what happened to me. I've been doing the personal development since like 7 or 8 years. And halfway through the journey, I was like, oh, actually, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to help more people to have access to these breakthroughs that I'm having. Okay, so let's have a quick look and we will go deeper into this tomorrow. But what are some of the strategies for challenging and reframing our limiting beliefs and our patterns? So first of all, identifying, which is what we're doing today, is having a quick, honest look in your life and identifying the belief or the pattern and the identity that's linked to it. So that's the first step. Sometimes it's really easy. Sometimes it can be really hidden and subconscious, like I said. Then we can question the belief. You know, again, why do I think I'm not good enough for this? Do I actually need more training, skills, and experience and qualifications? Or it's just a thought and it's just a protection mechanism? So always question when this stuff comes up. I was going to say a name. And I share with you guys all the time, you know, when I look myself in the mirror and I feel fat, I'm like, but am I fat? Or is it all the beauty industry and magazines that show me that I should be so skinny? You know, and I question my belief and I tell myself a new story. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm healthy. I'm curvaceous. I'm sexy. I'm delicious, whatever it is. So that's just one example, right? And that's the reframing. So whatever comes up for you, you can always shift that paradigm. So if I'm not good enough to reframe, it could be, no, I'm actually quite competent. I've been doing this for a while now. I'm actually pretty great. Look at your testimonials. Look at previous examples that you had of success. And then lastly, which is my favorite, take action. So there's no point of you acknowledging that you have a pattern, challenging the question, questioning the belief, reframing. The last and super important part is actually doing something about it to break that identity, right? So if it's something towards your goals, what is the next action or the smallest action that you can take to cement the new belief, even if you're afraid? So again, being brave and being confident and being courageous is not having fear, is moving through and taking action despite any fear, right? So as I share about moving from Sydney to Gold Coast, I have lots of fears, but that has not stopped me into taking action and actually progressing and doing the things that I need to do to move. So it's how are you supporting yourself in moving through the fear and concerns and self-sabotage? Let me know if that makes sense. It's important to remember this is an ongoing process, okay? It's not a one-off. It's not in this 1 hour that you're going to transform all your self-sabotaging patterns and beliefs. So it's ongoing, you know, even if you move through some sort of self-sabotaging and limiting beliefs, maybe another one will come up tomorrow and another one, and you'll be always, okay, acknowledge, question, reframe, take action. And this is called life, right? That's my answer to you. That's the reality check here. I'm not going to lie. This is ongoing. And this is how you show love for yourself. This is how you become more confident. That's how you build the relationship with yourself, is doing this sort of stuff every single day. So being patient, practicing self-compassion. I always teach my clients, what would you tell your best friend if they were going through this? You would say, I love you. I see you. It's okay. Let's work on it. Right? So instead of bullying yourself, that's not going to help. Be kind and generous and have that compassion. And seek support, you know. So I spoke a couple of times about working with a therapist, a coach, or healer, even having someone that you trust in your family or friend circle that can help you in moving through, in addressing it. So comment on the chat. What was your biggest takeaway from today? Did you learn something today? Did you love this training? Are you coming tomorrow? This was just 1 hour. We have another hour tomorrow. Actually, when I was putting together this training, I thought this could literally be a 5-day. There's so much content to go through, but I thought today will be good. It's a good start. Today feels pretty good at the moment. I'm going to post some homework on the chat. So from yesterday, there was the self-assessment quiz, is a link for you to complete, and it's literally going to show you your top self-sabotage pattern. So that's super cool. It takes less than 10 minutes. From today's training, there'll be some journaling questions that I'll post for you to address. If you can do it today, amazing, because obviously today there's more content and different homework. So putting aside maybe half an hour, 1 hour after this training or later today. It's super important. Like I said, it's not just about sitting back and listening and being like, oh yeah, I have a new awareness. It's about actually how is this gonna change your life? Okay, so when I see on the chat, love it, coming tomorrow, biggest takeaway, be my own best friend. I love that. I think that's my motto. That's my favorite motto. Be my own best friend. That's what I think to myself every single day. How can I support myself? How can I be loving and compassionate to myself? How can I move through this negative self-talk and criticism and fear of judgment and fear of failure, right? Because I feel like in the end of the day, we wake up, even if you have someone in bed next to you, if you have kids, family, partner, you wake up with your own thoughts and feelings and body. So you pretty much wake up by yourself. And same thing when you go to sleep, right? When you put your head to pillow, it's you with yourself. And I don't want to be morbid, but if you think about your deathbed, it's going to be you with yourself. So becoming your own best friend is really beautiful, really powerful. And again, it's a daily work. I want to see any more sharing, any more breakthroughs. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow for the second and last part of this free training. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you for being here. I acknowledge you for doing this work. I know it can be confronting and challenging, but it's the way, right? Is the way to it is the way through it. So moving through these feelings or challenges or concerns or patterns. So I really acknowledge you for doing the work and being here and looking inwards and looking into your life and being willing to make some changes. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow.